How's it going?
Great.
What are we talking about?
We are talking about how we are going to institute some new resources for our marketing department here at our real estate brokerage. Obviously, you've come on board so that the two of us can be a lot more effective in aiding the agents and helping them with their creative work, as well as strategy and planning. We're kind of starting, I think, from the bottom level and seeing where we can help the agents get to with their social media and all of their different marketing assets.
Yeah, so just starting out, we've met with a handful of agents to talk about their brand and their, that initial consultation, what they need from us. And I've been more on the implementation side, whereas you're still on the creative side. So doing their branding, their logo, all their colors, their style, and then coming up with content ideas. And then my role would be to help them actually execute. I think that's one of the more difficult parts in some of the challenges is that sometimes we have these videos and this content and we don't know what to do with it or when to post it or how to edit, anything like that. So our goal is to empower our agents to just make their lives easier and hopefully help them create some type of consistent posting, which will hopefully lead to some lead generation.
Correct, yes. And I think one of the coolest things that I have found so far in talking with the agents that we have, a lot of people right off the bat, you ask them, what do you have to offer? And one of the coolest things that I have found working with these agents is that they have so much to offer and they sometimes don't realize how special and unique they can be. And, their brands have really come together just through talking with them and being able to figure out what sets them apart. And a lot of times they don't necessarily see that. And then when you can ask them the right questions and really kind of hone in on their messaging, you can get to a place to be able to market them that feels very authentic, feels very much like who they are. And so it will be able to come across a lot better through all of their marketing, through all of their social media, and something that will feel natural and that they can continue it.
Yeah. And I think that's important, especially as a new agent. If you have a lot of time on your hands and you're trying to figure out who you are as a person and who you are as an agent, it's helpful to actually sit down and meet and just talk through some of these things, because we've sat through a couple meetings now where somebody came in with not a single idea of who they were, what they wanted their brand to be. And then we ended up with a really cool niche brand that I think is going to be extremely successful for them in the marketplace.
Right. And it's been interesting to see how different they are. Again, they think, I'm a real estate agent. You've got hundreds of real estate agents around. And how do I define my brand and who I am and how I can be different? And even having 50 agents here at the same brokerage, to be able to sit down and talk through all of this with these agents, you're able to see this is what sets you apart. This is how you are different. Like I said, I think it's really hard for people to see that on their own and really figure out their own identity as it comes to real estate.
One of the things I think is really cool that some people come to us with an already established brand. And I think it's cool to watch them kind of unfold that and see how they can implement that brand in their marketing and how they can use that to be a strength in their business and what sets them apart from other agents who maybe, don't have as strong of a sense of identity. So we're kind of rolling this out in phases because we understand that it can be extremely overwhelming, especially if you are a more seasoned agent and you do have consistent business coming through. Obviously, that's going to take precedence over figuring out your brand. But we want to make sure that these can work together in a way that makes sense for you, that you're comfortable with, that you can still have your successful business while also trying to hone in on your marketing and your messaging. So the first phase is that we would do our initial brand consultation. We meet with each agent. We ask them a series of questions about who they are, what their passions are, and some additional marketing strategies outside of social media that they'd like to tap into. We identify everybody's kind of strengths and their weaknesses and find ways that we can complement them as a marketing team. If somebody's already really well established on social media, we can find other avenues to help them, such as creating buyer's presentations, listing presentations, and other marketing materials helping them with client events. So first phase is just kind of meeting with the agent and establishing what they need from us and who they are so we can kind of hit the ground running.
I think it's really nice that we've got the support of our broker to be able to do this for the agents. This is obviously not something you would typically see at a brokerage that, they offer. You may see, I think, transaction support, administrative support, but it is difficult. They're basically running their own business. They're entrepreneurs, and anybody who's run their own business knows it's hard to wear all the different hats and to be able to think about all of the different pieces all the time. That's really challenging, and to be able to have somebody who can help guide you so you can focus on creating content and not worry about, scheduling, things like that, or can be focusing on your real estate transactions, and just to have somebody there who can help be that marketing support, I think is a huge advantage for all of the agents that we work with.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think as it, coming from a background of being a realtor, it's hard to juggle everything that you're supposed to be doing, right? I want to focus on things that are going to bring me clients and be income producing activities, whereas sometimes the back end and stuff like the systems and the posting and all of the things that you don't really see instant gratification from, that can go by the wayside. It falls off the priority list because you want to put your clients first. So that's where we are coming in as the marketing team to be able to support those agents in that moment where they don't feel like they have the time to dedicate to it.
Yeah, and I think that it's important that having you on the team and having you have the real estate experience that you do, you can bring that. I come from a background where I was an entrepreneur and I ran my own business and did all of my own marketing and things like that. And I've seen how hard it is to be able to do all of those different pieces. There have been other programs that I've looked at, and they talk a lot about like visionaries and integrators and having people that balance you out. And we have some agents who are more technical and, maybe need some more assistance on the creative side. And there's some people who are super creative, but they have a really hard time with strategy and maybe organization. And so the fact that we can come in and be able to balance them out as well. And like you said, focus on some lead generating activities, but also really focus on what it is they enjoy doing. And for us to be able to help create things or to give them structure, whatever it is they need in their own business, the two of us are there to be able to support them with all of that.
And I think it's also important to recognize that real estate itself is not necessarily everybody's passion. We tend to have passions outside of doing real estate. Although it brings us joy, it is, there's a reason behind why we're doing it. So what I've found is that it's easier to conduct real estate transactions and be a realtor, be a professional, if you can also do something in your business that you are passionate about. So for example, I really enjoyed hosting events just with my friends, with family, putting on parties. So finding a way to implement that into my business, like through client events, I can be excited about that. But just being able to put on client events is part of your real estate business. So it's not, I have to do paperwork today, or I have to go show a house if you don't like showing houses, or things like that. It's just something to look forward to in your business.
Mm-hmm. Right. And being able to individualize those marketing strategies to what you really enjoy doing. And the more people enjoy doing it, the more, excited they will be, and the more they're going to get it done. We have a lot of agents who don't like cold calling, so we're not going to put that in their marketing strategy. We're going to focus on things that will help them get out there more, or things that, and not that they can't do anything that's a little uncomfortable. I mean, obviously cold calling has its place, or knocking on doors, things like that, but focusing on their strengths and what they are comfortable with, you're going to see probably more progress in that. And so I think that's something that we're going to really be able to look at as we're working with these agents and see how quickly they can develop their business based on using strategies that really seem to fit them and their personalities. What do you think have been the biggest challenges so far? We've been doing this for a couple weeks, and we're still putting together this marketing playbook and really kind of testing it out, see how things go. So in this initial stage, what do you think has been the biggest challenge that you've seen so far?
Notion. No. I think
That's an opportunity. Yes.
Positivity. I think that creating the system and actually having a good system in place before we get running, I think sometimes it's difficult to be working with an agent at the same time as we're creating the system because things might change along the way. And while I do think that is a challenge, I think it is also an opportunity because it gives us a chance to see in real time, does this work or do we need to change it? But I think that's been the hardest part, and something that I just really want to focus on is actually getting the system in place before we start promising things to the agents that maybe just don't fit for them or don't work. Another challenge I would say that it is just, again, kind of more of an opportunity too, is how different everybody is, and we're meeting everybody where they need to be and just kind of keeping that in line, because we do have so many agents and agents who are dedicated and they're really determined to get going. And so far, everybody we've talked to has been really eager to start this process, but just finding a way where we can customize this and personalize it to each agent and actually make it work for them.
Right. And we're not only working with different personalities and, different strengths and things like that. We're working with people in very different stages of their career and, people who are farther along. So figuring out where to meet them and, how we can best help them. We don't want to be reinventing the wheel for them on things that, they've already got set. But obviously we have to adapt our process in order to be able to meet the agents where they need us to.
And I think our biggest ask of agents is to come with an open mind, but also we're putting in a lot of effort. We just ask that you would also put in that same amount of effort so we can help you, because it's going to be a team effort to get this going and give us your feedback and dive all in with us and go through the mistakes that are going to be made. I mean, it's inevitable as this is a new program that we're rolling out. Just keeping that open mind, be willing to accepting and giving feedback to us so we can really hone in on this and make it fit for you and make it successful, make your business successful.
Yes. And you mentioned Notion, and I always love a good software. I do think
we're not sponsored. If you'd like to sponsor us, now's the time.
It looks like it's going to be very promising to be a good organizational tool. And the fact that we can have, assign tasks and even to the agents and between each other, it feels like communication so far has been pretty easy using that. And I think it's great that we can set up these agent portals and they can go and access all their information and really understand where they're at. And just so that we don't lose any of the, tasks or any of those important pieces, that we can just have it all in one place. Notion is an organizational software, project management software. You can actually create, internal type of websites with it. You can manage tasks. You can store files in it. You can embed documents in it. So basically, we have been able to create a dashboard for the brokerage with all of the important information. Google Docs, Google Drive has been great for storing a lot of information, but it makes it difficult when you have agents that are looking for that information, don't necessarily know where to find it. So we've been able to create a dashboard in Notion with links to all of their marketing assets and to have any, company links that they will need to access. So be able to put that right there front and center, put calendars in there so that they can see what's going on at the brokerage, and also to create social media planning calendars, things like that. And then we can have all of their branding information in one place. So we can have just like a custom page for each agent and then also for the brokerage.
And it's like a one-stop shop.
Yes.
So we still have Google Drives, we still have the Google Calendar, we still have Canva, we still are operating in all of these other softwares, but now everything's all in one place. So I think that's what can be overwhelming for some agents too, is that because we do have so many platforms and softwares and devices that we're supposed to be, we've got Showing Time, we have Dotloop, we've got Paragon, there's so many other resources out there that sometimes it can get lost in translation and you forget what the URL is or where to go for this particular item. So to be able to have all of that in one place for agent resources just takes a lot of the thought out of it.
Yeah, we want to make it as easy as possible. Nobody wants to spend time trying to think about where to find something or, spend time looking around at that. So having it in one place, they can feel confident. They can just spend more time on their business as opposed to wasting time on just trying to find the information they need.
So we talked about phases. What are our next steps? The first one, like I said, is that initial brand consultation. And then once we figure out that, we come up with a content calendar for you if you don't already have it, or whatever that looks like for your next step. But we have a content calendar in some planning tools for you that we'll review. And so then the step after we initially meet with you is to start rolling some of this out, scheduling your actual editing days, your filming days, and when you're posting, so you don't really have to think about it. It's like time blocking for your content, right? And after that, we will track your social media accounts and be able to see your progress. How many followers are you getting? Have you gotten any messages from potential clients or leads? And just kind of tracking that. Once our entire goal for this first phase is to get you doing something consistently, whether that's social media, if you're already consistently posting on social media and seeing progress from that, just making sure we're tracking it. And then if you're good on that front, then making sure we have another consistent marketing tool for you. So if you want to host quarterly client events, that you're doing it consistently. And I think that's the most important part, is we don't want to overwhelm you and throw too many things at you at one time. We want to get something to become a habit and a routine first. And then after that phase is complete and you feel comfortable with what you're doing, we can adjust it, tailor it to what you need. But then our next step would be to implement an additional marketing strategy for you, whether it be mailers or database touches or things like that, where we can now capitalize on another form of obtaining new clients.
Yes, and I think it's really important what you mentioned, though, is that we're breaking it into pieces. It's very overwhelming, like you said, to start out and think, okay, I need to do social media, I need to have all these marketing materials, I need, all of these different things, but it's so overwhelming that it prevents people from doing it. So that is one of the biggest things I think that, we've been prioritizing, is making sure we're breaking it up into small pieces. Let's take one step at a time and make sure we're comfortable before moving on to the next one. It works well for us as we're assisting them, and we aren't overwhelmed either, because again, working with like 50 agents, that's a lot. But being able to make sure that we're just moving forward consistently and able to get everyone on the same page and feeling comfortable.
Kate, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
That's right. So that's what we're doing. We're making sure that the agents feel comfortable and, like she said, not overwhelmed, and that it is an attainable goal. We're focusing on the SMART acronym.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it stands for? Me too.
We'll look it up.
What is one of your biggest challenges that you've seen throughout this process?
I think it's been establishing a process. It's easy to sit down and brainstorm and talk about ideas and just, figure out who they are. And there is a challenge too in figuring out exactly the message that we need to use for each agent. But through conversation and really listening and, paying attention to what they're saying and sometimes what they're not saying, you can usually, steer in a certain direction. But it's really, I feel like we've had to kind of hit the ground running, but we're still establishing that process. And so I think that's been a bit challenging. And, getting everybody, like all of these initial materials, trying to get that together for them, that's a lot of work right off the bat there. You've got agents who are very busy and trying to work with their schedules, and they're in and out of the office. And so it's just been making sure that we use a calendar like Bookable, and using things like that so that they can schedule their meetings with us that work for them and less back and forth. So using some tools like that. But, I think so far it's gone pretty well in terms of meeting with the agents and figuring out their messaging. And I think we've been working on the process, and that's feeling good about that too. So I think continuing with that, we have a lot more agents to meet with. And so we're working on it, and I'm excited about it.
Yes, I'm very excited about
It's been fun. It's been fun so far. And I really think the important thing is looking at the data and being able to measure it, because it's hard sometimes to figure out, is the marketing working? And so that is something that we're really going to prioritize, is looking to see that their numbers are going up on their social media, and are they getting more appointments? Are they booking more of the clients that they're meeting with? Things like that. And so being able to really take a look at the numbers and figure out, is this working? And if it's not, what are we going to do to address it? And really, with this being a program that is something new, it's not something we've really seen other people doing, other brokerages doing. So it's something that's going to be a little trial and error. And, that's why we want to share this with other people, and we can take them all on our journey, and we can be completely honest. This is working and this isn't. And, figure out, what we need to do to make the right changes and help these agents to be as successful as possible.
Yeah, I completely agree.